Hey everyone, we're back at Two Guys in Hockey Talk, and we are jacked for another show talking hockey around the world. So before we go ahead and introduce our guest here today, of course you guys know our famous Pavel, as we call him, the Cat, not because he has Felix's reflexes, but because he believes he is an insider. Pavel, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. I'm a little sick under the weather, so I'm going to try to push through it. But I was excited for our guest to come on. Howie, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thanks, Pavel. Yeah, really good to be here, you guys. That was quite a starting, that montage of all those hits. That was pretty impressive.
Wait. Sorry, I was going to say, one of the things we try to do is, because we add in hockey of all sorts, NCAA. If you got some really good, got some good moves, good scoring, good goaltending from anything from the Pandas team, man, we'd love to have it. So why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest a little bit more in detail and a little bit about Howie's background.
Awesome. So just make sure you have your bevy. Howie, I don't know if you have a beverage.
No, I didn't even think of that, guys.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
I believe
that's a smart coach. I think that's a smart answer if your GM is listening.
I believe you just said you just got out of a team meeting, so hopefully you weren't drinking.
Right.
So thank you for coming on the show. I know it took a bit to get you on, and we connected through a mutual friend that I have. Darren, shout out to him for connecting us. Appreciate that. And we ask every guest that comes on the show, what brought your passion about for hockey? Was there a moment in your time where you fell in love with the game?
Yeah. I think, well, I'll start off by saying I loved watching hockey when I was a kid. And I don't know if it was as much the game itself, but, some of the things that you've just shown in your introduction there, the hits and the excitement and just the sounds and, I'll say it, the smells of the rink and all of that stuff really helped to build my passion for it. But I think when I really started to appreciate the game at a higher level was when I eventually came to the University of Alberta and played for the Golden Bears here at the U of A and under Claire Drake and Bill Moores. I just and played with all the guys that kind of went through the leadership group with the Golden Bears. I think what I really started to, that's a great shot.
If I could just interrupt you, Howie,
yeah.
You look like the kind of hockey player that scores a hat trick and apologizes to the goalie.
No, that's not me. I'm the guy apologizing. I was a defenseman, so I was usually apologizing for screwing up and giving away a puck or something that ended up in the back of the net. But and I certainly didn't score a lot of goals. I was knocked out a few times.
Oh boy!
But but anyway, it was that time with the Golden Bears and just really immersing myself in that culture. It was an outstanding 5 years, and that's probably what really lit my fire.
Wow, cool. That's good. So everyone, we have Howie Draper, head coach of the University of Alberta Pandas women's hockey team in Edmonton, Canada. I just want to give a shout out last week. So, of course, we always know Alberta, you guys kind of top the list of our followers and fans following. Ontario, hats off to you guys for staying up late. And, hey, a big shout out over to Florida, Nevada, and New York State. You guys are awesome. And I was shocked, Australia. And I have no idea why you'd be watching us last week from Australia, because I believe it was you guys were sleeping while we were talking, but you must have joined in later. But again, thanks for hanging out with us. Well, let me just go back for a moment if I can. I was just starting with some of the pictures. Maybe you can talk a little bit for a moment here about this. So I believe
how
this
the
is
heck did you get that picture, you guys? Jeez, that's next level. Sorry, what was the question?
I just maybe comment on the picture. Tell us a little bit about this.
That was our the rink that was 2 blocks away from my house that I, like most Canadian kids, you spent every night there after school. And that was probably my second year of hockey right there.
Okay. Now, is this the same rink or a different rink?
Yeah, no, same rink. Victor Paquin, I admired him. He was such a great little hockey player. He was the kid that scored all the goals. That's actually my dad standing beside him. He helped coach.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, we got another one here.
This is my first year that I actually had to try out for a team. This was my Pee-wee year. And you can see by the smile on my face, I think I surprised myself that I actually made the team.
You seem like a very happy hockey player, something that Brian Burke would not enjoy at all, right?
Right.
I don't think he could play for one of his teams.
Hey, hockey has to be fun, right? And it's certainly been a lot of fun for me.
Okay, here's one more.
Yeah, this one, I was with the Bears this year. We represented Canada in Czechoslovakia, it was at the time, for the FISU Games, the World Universiade Winter Games.
Sweet. That's amazing. Okay, so you were named head coach of the women's hockey program back in September 1997. That is amazing. So maybe tell us how you got. Now you talked about playing, but how did you get actually into coaching?
Well, I mean, it's got a very long advanced story. I won't get into all that, but I ended up back at the U of A, just looking for a little bit of a change. I was never really one of those guys that saw coaching as something I would do for a career. But I came back to the university and worked here for a year. Just shortly after that, they decided that they were going to start a women's hockey program, and that U Sports was going to embrace female hockey and bring it into the fold. And my athletic director, who I think he had a vision that perhaps I could take on that role, and that's why he brought me in another capacity the year prior. And he asked me if I wanted to do it, and I took a while to think about it. And after putting some thought into it, I decided that I would. And 25 years later, I still love it. And we've had some great years here.
So what would be one of the biggest challenges that you found in coaching, though?
I think probably the biggest challenge is, young people have changed the way that they expect to be coached and expect to be treated, and the communication styles and everything is continually evolving. And I think that as now an older guy that went through the system back in the old days, it was a very probably more of a militaristic kind of a system. I've had to adapt, and sometimes I've adapted well, sometimes not so well, sometimes quickly, and sometimes very slow. So that's probably been one of the biggest challenges, is trying to stay on top of how best to work with my athletes.
Okay, so you've talked about kind of coaching. Could you tell our audience kind of what the prep is like for going into it? Like, how do you make in-game decisions? Do you have other assistant coaches that you work with, whether it's on the penalty kill or power play? Mm-hmm. And what kind of goes into setting up lines, things like that? Like, take us a look at the inside.
Well, I think when we start prepping for a weekend, we have the luxury of playing the same team twice on any given weekend. So, and of course, everybody has access to video nowadays. So the first thing that we do is we watch video, and all of the coaches play a part in that, and looking at various aspects of our game, because we all share varying responsibilities on our team. And then we bring them to the war room, and we discuss what we need to do to play best against an upcoming opponent. So that's where we start. We create some video and edit some video, and we share that with our players, and then we go through the week trying to create an environment that's conducive for helping them be successful on the weekend. In terms of lines, and we've got a number of players that don't play every weekend, and we do our best to try and get them in to help them develop, because it's not like we can just move them down to the minors or we make commitments to these young ladies, so we want to do our best to help them develop during their time with us. So we try and work them into the lineup, but we're also conscious of the fact that certain teams that we'll play against require a certain skill set. So we'll set up our lines and build our roster based on what we think might help against a given opponent best. And then when it comes to playing in the games, we go into each game thinking about what some of the scenarios might be that will pop up through the course of the game. We do our best to prep in that way, but the reality is that things change so quickly, and you get taken away from that plan that you might have. You can get taken away from that plan so quickly that you have to be able to to act on your feet. And I think I've been really lucky because I've surrounded myself with some great assistant coaches, certainly this year and over the years, all of the 25 years that I've had, that together we've been able to be reflexive and do our best to counter what some of those scenarios that might come up.
Well, I'm going to go a little off script of what Pavel had designed questions for me. We're not rehearsed here. But the reason I want to ask, and this is always a big question. Now, of course, we like 80% of our audience are always around the NHL. That's the dream place for everyone. And of course, we use that as a tool to talk hockey around the world. About everything, whether it's European leagues, whether they're junior, minor leagues, whether it's just development, whether it's university hockey in the States, in Canada, all the way around Pee-wee hockey. So in saying that, though, with coaching, when you're getting your players to kind of play a certain way, whether they're playing a 1-2-2 or a 1-3-1 or however, how big a difference is that really? When you're employing, if you're keeping one guy back, 1 forechecking, and kind of keeping 3 more neutral, or like, is that really that big a deal as we hear it is, or is it always changing within the game?
Yeah, well, we usually start the year building 2 or 3 or 4 at times different kinds of forecheck systems and different kinds of D zone systems and those kinds of things. So that we have the tools necessary if we do feel we have to change them, because the reality is sometimes those systems work very well when you're playing against a given opponent. Sometimes, you can really work a pressure forecheck really well on one given night with your team, and sometimes it just doesn't work on the next night. So you have to be able to, again, be able to adjust what you're doing. So that's why we have a number of different systems. But I think that probably the most important thing for us, and what I learned from Claire Drake as I was coming through the Golden Bear hockey program, is you come in with a little bit of a team identity, and you try and stick to that team identity. So our identity is we like to play a very pressureful game where we're in your face all the time, and we try and stick to that as long as we can, because that's what we hang our coat on, so to speak. So again, you have to have something that you can fall back to if things aren't working for you, but you want to play within your identity as best as you can.
You got to excuse my co-host. Every week he's got camera problems. I don't know if it's the cats in his house or what it is.
Yeah. Hey, Evan, can I just take this second to say I played in Australia for a year. I don't know if you knew that. I was a player in Australia.
Yeah, tell us about that.
It was a great experience. I mean, I wasn't going to Europe because I wasn't that good of a hockey player. A lot of guys at a university will go on and play in Europe, particularly the guys with the offensive skill, that really stand out. I wasn't a real standout, so I was looking for other opportunities, and I knew of a Golden Bear alumni, a couple of that were actually there, and I contacted them to see if I could come and play. So I went to Australia. I worked a full-time job, but I got to play with a bunch of guys that a lot of ex-Canadians, but also a lot of Aussies, and they just loved the game, and I loved hanging out with them, and it was probably one of the best experiences of my life.
So cool.
How was the ice in Australia?
How was the ice? It wasn't too bad, actually, although here's an interesting story. So, I've got a bunch of stories. It was just so weird, right? Because nobody knows there's hockey in Australia. People
actually, I didn't either.
Yeah. But this one arena that we played in, hockey was like 4th down on the totem pole next to public skating. It was in a mall. So public skating took priority, and then figure skating, and then short track speed skating, and then hockey. And we actually had to pay in order to play every night when we came through the doors. So that's how important. But it was this huge rink. So I hated being on the power play, because if the other team iced the puck, it would take literally, it felt like 30 seconds to get back to the puck. It was just this humongous arena. But anyway, that was just one of the stories. It was a lot of fun.
That's really cool. That sounds like an amazing. And a mall, yeah, sounds like West Ed from
Yeah,
the viewers.
yes,
Bobby
exactly.
Joe.
Yeah, but Bobby Joe also says here, she goes, this is where she gets her hockey knowledge. We know it's because of guys like you, Howie, coming on to help us with that.
No.
So we talk here about promoting women's hockey, and we've had Cassidy Sauvé on the show, a goalie that plays in Finland and practices in the offseason in Canada, a local gal.
She's actually signed with the Buffalo Beauts this year. She's playing with the Buffalo Beauts, yeah.
Oh, great.
And we know it's an untapped market. How do we go about promoting women's hockey more? And what do we got to do? Like whether you're in Edmonton or somewhere outside of Canada or somewhere else?
Yeah, I wish I knew the answer to that, Pavel. I think we just have to, the media, the corporate entities, the fans. I think everybody just needs to give it a chance. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we go to watch a female hockey game and then we say, oh, this isn't like it's not like the NHL, or it's not like the WHL, or it's a different game, and you really have to watch it for a while to really appreciate it, because I think what you'll find is the players are just as passionate, if not more passionate about the game. The game's become such a so business-like on the men's side. I mean, we're just so far away from that on the female side that these young ladies are actually playing for the absolute love of the game. They're not playing for any money. They're not playing for notoriety. And that comes out, I think, when you go out and you actually give it a chance and you watch it, and then you start to appreciate it for what it really is. And I think if people would just give it a chance, and all those entities that I talked about, then I think that we'd come to the realization that there really is a great product there.
Yeah, definitely. It's been interesting, even listening, and we had Leah Hextall on, actually play-by-play for ESPN and Sportsnet, first female, and it was interesting because when she was talking, I loved her story, because I used to even think like this, an old mindset about giving equal opportunity, right? They talk about, but do you want the most qualified? And when they asked her, are you the most qualified? She goes, no, I'm not. But as long as you don't give women a chance, we can't be the most qualified. Mm-hmm. And it's so true. And I think it's like that even for hockey. I know even Canada's a little different game when it comes to getting fans out. I know it's much more difficult to fill your arenas as opposed to down in the United States. Mm-hmm. But really, that's one thing we said through our show and other places. If there's any way that we can try to promote women's hockey, right now we are pushing, Howie, for a women's NHL, a WNHL or an NWHL. But our whole piece, that as we're talking, I know Leah had mentioned and Cassidy had said that as long as there's two professional women's leagues and they're existing, either one of them, they're not going to jump in there until there's no women's. But essentially, there's always going to be something for women. They want to have something for women. So it becomes a long shot, really, for them to get a chance to really play professionally and to make some decent dollars also as a career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you've hit it on the head. I think we need that one league. Somewhere the first domino needs to fall, and I don't know exactly where that is. Whether it's the sponsorships, or it's maybe the NHL stepping in and playing a part in that. Like it has, they have with the NBA and WNBA. But that first domino needs to fall, and then I think once it does, I think people will really start. Like if you watch the women's national team, I think those games are very, very well. The fan support for those have really grown over the last 5 to 10 years. So it really is a great product, and hopefully it'll get the attention it deserves.
Very true, and it's interesting because usually, I guess the criticism for those nationals is that only U.S. and Canada, Team Canada and Team U.S. are in the finals, because it's hard to get people interested in other countries. I mean, maybe one day Australia, but I mean, even the countries that have a big market for hockey, such as Sweden, Finland, Denmark's getting up there, right? So those countries need to step up as well and invest in women's infrastructure for that hockey.
Yeah, and I think maybe just to add to that, Pavel, I think if we have that league in North America here, that one league, then maybe some of those players from Europe will come and play. Like I would think it'll probably be the strongest league in the world, right? Female league in the world. So if those players come from Europe, it helps bolster the league itself. But they get that the exposure to North American hockey on a more regular basis, and the way we play it, and build their skills, and maybe they take that back to their own countries, and those national programs start to flourish.
Well, it really it does all begin though with us. So if you're a hockey fan, you get behind them, promote. If you're local in the Edmonton area, hey, get over there, buy some tickets, get out to Claire Drake, man. Go support the Pandas in Edmonton. And if not, go and follow them. You can see it down below. They're on Instagram as well as they're over on Twitter. So for all you social media folk, if you don't know what's going on, go ask them questions, engage them.
Well, and send me an email, and I've got tickets I can give away. So
Woo!
I'll give you a ticket.
Sounds great. Well, hey, in almost 23 seasons behind the bench, you've amassed this list of accomplishments, including 8 U Sports National Championships, couple silver medals, 13 Canada West titles. I know this probably you're kind of a humble fellow, but I need to mention this for our viewers. 13 Canada West titles, 4 U Sports Coach of the Year awards. You have a gift for coaching. Question, have you ever looked to apply or move into something as a career more in the professional leagues?
I was asked that question quite some time ago. I think back when our team was pretty dominant, but I could never see. I really think that I connect well with female athletes, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's just been a population that I've really enjoyed working with. They've had a very positive impact on me and my life, and I've learned a lot from them. And I hope that I've had the same going back the other way. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing for me, Evan. Is it's just been a great, just a love working with this particular population.
That's awesome. And so you've been involved a lot with the team. You've been there for quite a while. You've really made an impact. 2 kind of part of the question. 1, do you work with whoever it is, with a school or a GM you may have, or whoever it is, your assistant coaches, in picking prospects, maybe that play in different provinces or in the States, or come over and maybe they get a scholarship? And as a second question for those ladies, do you find in that time of coaching in the last few years, do you find that coaching has changed in terms of how you connect with them? I know you kind of alluded to it, but in terms of how you approach the game with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To answer your first question, Pavel, it's we're limited with our resources, so it's hard for us to get out and scout a lot. We've tried to build a little bit of a network through Western Canada anyway. And then I'll try and me and my coaches will get out and we'll watch some of the larger events that take place, where there might be a lot of young players. But the difference between our hockey and men's hockey is that the pool to select from is quite small still. So it's very rare that you might have, maybe you need let's say a puck moving defenseman that's also solid defensively. You may require that on your team, or have a hole to fill with that particular skill set, but really in the end you've got to take whatever you can get, because we're all competing for that same small pool of players. So it can be challenging. I'm happy to say that we've been pretty successful, and I've had people around me that have really helped in that capacity. As it relates to coaching and relating or communicating with this particular group, yeah, it has changed over time. And I think one of the biggest things that I learned from Coach Drake and Coach Moore, is the coaches I had with the Bears, is that they understood that they were doing what they were doing for the athletes. It wasn't the other way around. It was, like they weren't there for themselves. They weren't there to build their own resumes. They understood that they needed to learn from their athletes in order and how to best provide what they needed. And I think I've, to the best of my ability, I've tried to take that lesson from them. So I've been open to learning and to changing and to giving away control to my to my players when necessary, and same with my coaching staff. And it's just trying to be more humble and sharing the stage, so to speak.
All right. Well, you were an assistant coach, I believe, for the Canadian national women's hockey team. You were joined also Team Canada for the Four Nations Cup in Sweden, helping them to a silver medal that year. Tell us that experience.
Well, it was a great experience. I think I've been fortunate enough to be with the U18 program for 4 years as well as the head coach. And the thing I find that's great about Hockey Canada is, so Gina Kingsbury, Mel Davidson before her, they have this uncanny ability to bring in people that are, just have a very strong sense and understanding of the game. They've got lots of great ideas. So it really becomes this think tank almost where we all get to share ideas about culture, about leadership, about on ice, the system play, how to teach the system, all of that stuff. So the best experience for me has been learning from some of those other coaches and the players that are at that level. So I had when I was with the senior team, I had the opportunity to work under Laura Schuler, who's spent a significant amount of time in the NCAA, and she was also a player with the national team. With Dwayne Galawaychuk, who's was an outstanding. He's from Winnipeg. I see. Sounds like you know him.
Yeah.
Just some great coaches, and I always come back to my team with a whole bunch of new ideas that I feel like it's helped make our team better. So
nice. Sweet. So you said you still play, or when you played back in the day, you were a defenseman. Do you still partake in any alumni events? I mean, I know you got to skate every day with the girls, and you got to get out there and show them drills, or maybe you're blowing the whistle and you're making them do runs back and forth. But
yeah, no, I haven't had the luxury of being able to play a lot. There's a couple of groups that I've played with over the years. Not as frequently as I would like to, but there's a whole bunch of alums that get together here and on our ice, on Claire Drake Arena ice, every Saturday morning. So maybe I'll get out with them 2 or 3 times a year, and that's about it. Unfortunately, Pavel, I think that's my retirement thing. When I retire, I'm going to try and get back into actually playing the game a little bit more and enjoying it that way.
So before we go into maybe a last question or two here, I just have a question just to get your thoughts or your opinions. A lot of people, of course, again, as I mentioned, they're all NHL focused, and they're always talking about fire the coach, fire the GM. You get it's so different than what you're dealing with when you're talking about decades, right? Spending in one place, and and I'm always concerned. The coach is always the fall guy. But you see, like, if we look at Bruce Boudreau, right, he goes into Vancouver. They have this winning streak, starts the season. There's already talk right now that the plan is not to do much of anything. Wait, he's going to look bad. They'll let him go, get the next guy ready for next year, and get a little bit of streak, plus get a good draft pick in the end. How different do you really believe? I know locally in Edmonton, Jay Woodcroft came in, did a great job after Tippett, but Tippett was a phenomenal coach himself. Mm-hmm. How different is that, and is it a psychological thing with the players, or what's your opinion at that professional level?
Well, it's a very good question, Evan. I wish I had a very good answer for you, but it's for me, it's a completely different crew that I'm working with. Like, I'm working with student athletes that they're here to play hockey, and they love the game, and they want to be the best they can be in the game, but they're also here to learn, to find a career down the road eventually, and to spend time academically here. So the difference between what we do and what NHL coaches do is they have to win. They've got that pressure. If they don't win, as you've said, then it's very likely they're not going to have that job for too long. For us, winning isn't the only thing. For us, it's really about developing the person, I think, more so. And I think also, going back to Coach Drake and Bill Moores again, that was the thing that they focused on. And I think by focusing on that, I think they were able to find a lot of success. The Golden Bear hockey program is the most successful university hockey program in North America. And the reason it is because I think the culture that they drove was one of they really truly wanted to help young people grow into positive contributors in their communities, and I think when you do that, then you automatically have the players' respect, and I think they're more likely to want to play for you. So I think with this rotating coach reality in the NHL is that coaches will come in and they'll have a brief impact. I think the ones that really have that kind of mentality, the philosophy that I just talked about, tend to last a little bit longer, I think. But the ones that they understand that they just got to win, and they're going to make decisions based on winning hockey games. And when that doesn't happen, they tend not to be there that long, right?
That's amazing. Well, thank you. That you really summed up a lot of things that we kind of try to preach here on the show, like leadership and accountability, and just for the love of the game, having fun and setting a high standard and a high bar. And it seems like, go Pandas, right? Like, let's do it.
Right.
Before we wrap up, are there any final thoughts you want to share with us? We don't want to take you too much of your time, because we know you got a coach, maybe go to sleep, be up at 5 a.m. for the rink.
No, I just really appreciate you guys having me on, and it's been a lot of fun. I must admit I was a little bit nervous coming on my first podcast ever. So, but I just made it really easy, and I really had a good time. So really, thanks very much for carrying me along here.
Okay, one last question. I got to do this, Howie. I got to ask you, in university hockey, now I played minor hockey, I played a little bit of junior, and I played lots of rec. Refereeing, is it the same in U Sports as it is everywhere else? It's consistently inconsistent?
Yes. I wish I didn't have to say that, but it's the consistency. But you know what? You try and put yourself in their shoes. I've tried reffing once or twice just because we needed some, for whatever, a scrimmage in my team or whatever. It is a hard job. So I respect what those people put themselves through everything, and not to mention it, tough on the ice, but then you have that pressure of the coaches and the players and the fans yelling at you. I don't know how they do it. So I can see how they would be inconsistent, and that would be the name of the game for that career.
Allison's saying that you picked the right podcast to come on first, so we are honored to have you on the show. We also like to say people who have been on the show go on to do greater things. Now, your resume is exhaustive and extensive, so you don't need any more accoldades.
Maybe yours is retirement, eh?
But, yeah,
maybe they'll give you a free rink in the city somewhere.
Yeah, that would be nice. Well, thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks so much, Howie. It's been great having you on. Hope to talk again soon. We'll see you at a Pandas game possibly this year.
You bet. Take care.
Cheers. All right, Pavel. Man, that was a great interview. Woo!
Fantastic.
That guy was awesome.
I hope you guys enjoyed that, because Howie was wonderful. That's some good insight in terms of not only how college and or university hockey works, but also just kind of the mindset you have to have behind the bench, right? Because you see the game from a different way than players do when they're on the ice. But being a player also helps that vision. So what are your thoughts, Evan?
Well, hey, and I didn't even get a chance. We were so busy asking questions with Howie. One of the things that I didn't even get a chance to let you guys know, he got nominated into the Edmonton Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame, as a sports builder. So, hey, congrats, Howie, if you see a little bit of this afterwards, man. Great work. Love what you're doing. Pavel, maybe we need to do a show live from there one day. That would be an interesting one.
Super.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a blast. So, hey, guys, okay, so let's catch you up on a little bit of news that's going on around the NHL. So this past week, you see behind us, the Edmonton Oilers. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, let me just mention, we haven't given some of the information we need to. Guys, you can follow us every Wednesday, 7 p.m. live right here. You can still follow. We are on Facebook, Twitter, on YouTube channel. Follow us, subscribe, like, share. We need you. You are the ones that make the difference. Thank you from coming from all over Europe, some parts, Australia, different states. You guys keep packing it in. California tonight, you're whipping it up. Hey, thanks for following. I know you guys got some great programs down there. and hockey has taken off. Like men's hockey was not much only through like say 25 years ago, right? Things have changed in the sport. So anyway, also thanks to the Sports Empire Network. They are our partner. They get us on to you in this special platform. Thank you to them. And big news from the Sports Empire Network. We've gone live on the Tiki channel live, which means you can follow on Amazon, Roku channel, and on Apple TV. So, hey guys, thanks so much. Woo! All right.
Sounds
all
good.
right. Okay, so let's go back. We want to talk about why don't you give all the viewers an update on what's about the Evander Kane situation last night, and then I have something on the post part of that I want to talk about.
For sure. So last night, the Edmonton Oilers faced off in Tampa Bay. Sean Fiery may have been at the game, who's a fellow friend of the show and has been on the podcast. And I guess from a kind of an awkward fall with another player, as he fell down, Maroon was coming by trying to dig out the puck. And accidentally, and I mean that accidentally, cut Evander Kane's wrist to the point where it got to the artery. As soon as that happened, whistle was blown down. Evander got up, was holding his wrist, got off the bench, and as Gene Principe was indicating, was yelling, "Help, help, help." He got to the hospital. He's in stable condition. He's going to be out to 3 to 4 months, as noted. So the Oilers are going to bring somebody else up. That's a big loss for the Edmonton Oilers for that big winger. But it wasn't intentional, wasn't bad. And we wish Evander Kane a speedy recovery. You never want to see that. A similar situation that happened a couple of years ago was Ilya Mikheyev, who's now in Vancouver, but he was in Toronto. It takes a while. Thank goodness he's okay. There was a lot of blood on the ice. You know, it is what it is. This is such a fast and hard and intense sport, as Howie kind of alluded to it. You never want to see anyone get injured like that. What did you want to share?
Well, and it's interesting. I saw today on Twitter some people mentioning some of these arenas need to rethink where the bench is for some of these hockey players, because you need to be as close to be able to get to the medical help as possible, like to your dressing room. This whole thing of the boards and the players sitting opposite on the other side is not a good thing. So, hey, but what I want to mention is I'm appalled today by some fans. I'm not even going to call them fans. I'm going to call them trolls. You guys are a bunch of trolls. And you know what you are? You're a bunch of – now, I don't care how you feel about Evander Kane, the old thing of the rumors and the stuff of Anna Kane. Guys, we have our own takes on it. I'm not telling you you're wrong. You can tell me you're wrong all you want, but I got this platform and I'm telling you you're wrong. Let me give you an example. Right here on Twitter, just last night, all smiles. Anna Kane, the former wife that calls him a domestic abuser, he gets his wrist cut open, and she has the audacity to post only smiles over here and no, this is not mistaken at all. And a whole bunch of other trolls, hockey trolls, get on there and they want to go on. And, hey, guys, I understand between Edmonton and Calgary, you got your differences. But hats off to a lot of you Calgary fans standing up that actually are true fans of the game. Yeah. Nobody wants her. I don't care, my worst player. This whole thing, quit saying you want him to break a leg or do something. What happened to sportsmanship? By the way, that was my rant for today. I'm just sick of people like that. And you know what? If you annoy me on Twitter, I will say something. I don't really care. Maybe Elon Musk is I don't know, maybe I'll get verified if I pay $8.
It's pathetic, and it's actually a little bit more in Canada because that's $8 in American. So it's like I think $10. So don't go blowing your money all at once, there, sir. But yeah, pathetic. Those aren't fans; those are just trolls. No. And I have no time for that. Don't even bother following us. We don't need that. Regardless of what you think of his on ice tactics, he is still a human being. He has kids. He has a wife or a partner, and he wants to play the game. Absolutely. On a positive note, or are you done? Because I wanted to bring
no, go ahead. I'm done my rant, man.
All right. So on a positive note, we discussed a little bit about the selling of the Ottawa Senators. Yes. Now, in the last game at the building at the Canada Tire Center, Ryan Reynolds was in attendance and he got a standing ovation. Now he's made it clear. I believe he was on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes, he was on Jimmy Kimmel. I did not have time to upload it. I was going to show everybody the video. He has stated that he is interested, but he's looking for partnership.
Yes.
He's looking for a partnership. So now let the speculation begin. Mark Cuban, where are you? Maybe that would be a good partnership. Seeing Ryan Reynolds come together with Mark Cuban on I don't even know if that would work. Does the one daughter stay in and work with the group that's
I
a
think
local
they both
owners?
want out, and I think from what reports are being said, it could be a value of close to $900 million, if not close to $1 billion. That's how much this franchise is worth. Now, Eugene Melnick, for all his troubles and intense background, and say what you want about the guy, he took that franchise and made it somewhat lucrative, and it's become pretty good. Now, the team itself is struggling a little bit, so maybe you want to chat about that quickly. One thought, Evan. But
I mean, I can't tell you I didn't tell you so, everyone. I know that, like, it's just like, okay, you gotta rub it in. The team doesn't have a goalie yet. They lost Talbot, man. That was their hope early on. You got to solidify.
And Forsberg.
And Forsberg was really a third. He was a second backup to me. No offense to Forsberg and his skill sets. I didn't consider him. Yeah, and that's fine. I think during the pandemic we saw him how valuable he was by the fact he got tossed around from team to team to team. That's just my opinion, and it may mean nothing to you. However, their defense was not deep enough. We're working right now with Sens Nation. We might have a show where we can bring on some other folks from Ottawa besides Kevin Francis. By the way, if you want to follow everything on Sens Nation and check on what's happening, ownership, hear anything, if it gets released, follow Kevin Francis, one of our former guests. Check out our podcast a couple of weeks ago. Follow him on Hockey Buzz. Now, his Twitter handle, I don't have it handy. It's really confusing. Kevin, you got to get a simpler Twitter handle because it's Kevin Francis 0554231 or something. It's like you gave a fake phone number, man. But hey, good. Good. But anyway, I think they're hurting because of the defense. They're not deep enough. And I think they're hurting. And so what's happening is the forwards are playing too much time back in their own end. The team has skill. They have the ability to pull out of it. But I'm going to jump on the Kevin Francis bandwagon of his feeling on DJ. I do not think he is the right coach for this. But let me just say, I still think the ownership is not looking to win this year. There is this year hockey draft in 2023 is said to be comparable potentially to the 2015 draft with Connor McDavid. That's a deep draft, folks. Really, really deep draft, and some incredible possible generational or franchise players to come out of there. And we'll touch in on my top 15 in just a bit. Anyway, hey, Chris Neal, the 17th. You knew about this today? Did you hear?
No.
So they are putting him into the
Hall of Fame. Yeah,
the Ottawa Senators Hall of Fame. So he's going to be going in. Hey, hats off. That guy worked his butt off. He was an excellent Senator during his playing days. So it's nice to see them finding other reasons to celebrate this season. You know,
every team should have their own Hall of Fame. I think. I mean,
I agree.
Recently, with Ryan Smith, one of my favorite players of all time, man.
Yeah.
And Lee, how do you pronounce his last name?
Fogelin, man. Fogelin, come on. Actually, it's funny, Fogelin. So when the Oilers came into Edmonton as the Alberta Oilers, actually that was when I first started following hockey. But I was in British Columbia and I had just heard of them. And one of the very first hockey cards that I ever got in an OPG pack was Lee Fogelin. And I'm like, Lee Fogelin. And all I know is I was playing games with him. And now he is in the Edmonton Oilers Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
He gave up his captaincy to Gretzky because, he told the team, come on, guys. We all know who the skilled guy is. But we also know who needs the seed, right? No, congrats to him. It's a big honor, and I applaud that. I think more organizations need to do that. As an aside to Ottawa, I think losing Josh Norris, your possibly number one center, big loss for the season-ending injury. He's done, right? That's a big loss. You don't expect that.
That's true too. I forgot totally about that too. Yeah, it's going to be another tough year, but enjoy the development right now in the chemistry of your forwards.
Yeah,
because this could be a big year if they can sign DeBrincat.
So, Evan, you wanted to share a little bit with me about something else that's been burning on your mind.
Oh, something else besides my Revs top 15?
Your Revs top.
Woo,
You're
baby!
revving up.
All right, everyone. How you doing out there in Hockey World? I'm wanting to talk a little bit, give you a heads up on my Revs top 15. This week, we talked about Adam Fideli, we talked about Mishkov, we talked about Bedard, but I haven't given you much attention to Zach Benson. Now, early in the season, before it started, I had this put together, and Zach Benson, just so you know, has not been rated higher than 5. Dover Prospects puts him at 5 as the top, but almost everyone else has him 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, and 9. He is, I believe he's 5'10". He's around 150 plus pounds, so he's got light weight. But let me tell you why I value. Right now, he's scoring at a decent rate. He's expected to get around 32 goals this season, probably around 70 points, playing for the Winnipeg Ice in the Western Hockey League. And that, for those that are not as familiar, in Canada, that is the Canadian Hockey League, which is comprised of the Quebec League, the Western Hockey League, which has North American teams in the Northwest, and also Central Canada, part of the West. And then you have the Ontario itself. Now, in that league, he plays for Winnipeg. Now, Zach is proof that if you have sound positioning and you get your sticks in the lane, you can turn over pucks. You will get scoring chances. He has elite edge on his skates. This guy, I'm telling you the reason I put him there, he has the upper echelon IQ. His hockey IQ, his vision, not just offensively, but defensively, is incredible. So I want to encourage you, go look up some stuff on Zach Benson. If you're able to catch a Winnipeg Ice game, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm tending right now between the 4 and the 5 position, which we'll talk about next week on Yager. Not Yager, but Jaeger. I apologize to Yarmar. Yeah, definitely he is an incredible guy. So definitely keep your eyes open. So, and by the way, Fantilli's 2 points a game NCAA still this year. Connor Bedard is 1 point off right now of he's still lighting it up. He's 1 point away being 2 point a game player. And he is definitely working other positions and playing a lot more defense. Something interesting, and maybe some of you guys out there, since I started following Connor Bedard, he was on wing. This is very interesting. He was a right winger initially, I thought. And I've sent out to Cam Robinson, if you follow anything we do, bud, I've sent you messages, direct messages. You're not responding. You got all the inside information for elite prospects. I'm asking. I see he's a center now. He's been playing center a lot. That's going to be a difference in his career. I mean, he is playing incredible. I'd just like to know, did he make that switch, or was I misled? So anyway,
we'll have to follow up. I do want to shout out to the city of Winnipeg for treating me, Jordan, who's been on the show before as a guest, and some other friends of ours went to a Winnipeg game versus the Chicago Blackhawks. The Canada Life Center is really nice. Yeah, beautiful. Got to see the Dave Howardchuk statue. Beautiful. There you go. There you go. I made a little video. Make sure to check it out on our Two Guys in Hockey Talk Facebook page. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe. Follow Evan on Rev and Ev, on Twitter, on us, Hucky_2. But Winnipeg was a good time. The place is really nice, and it is now the second smallest arena in the NHL. Evan, do you want to take a gander what the smallest is?
Somewhere in the southern states.
You're getting close. Hot.
It's hot there.
Hot.
Are there snakes and coyotes?
Probably. I haven't verified. I'm an insider in hockey, not in animal zoology.
Oh, hey, Zill loves my jersey. Yeah, sweet jersey, baby. Love Howardchuk. Howardchuk was an icon. You know, rest in peace, man. That was sad to see him go. By the way, I don't know if many people know this. Dale Howardchuk actually worked with Mark Scheifele and said he would be a great player. So there is a very close connection between the Scheifeles and the Howardchuks. So yeah,
and he's had a good season so far. He's played very. Winnipeg is on the top of the Central standings. Who would have thought, right, Evan?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they are playing crazy. And let's talk about the Las. They really should have been in the Las Vegas, because I love Las Vegas, but the Vegas Golden Knights, they're still at it. Now, Zill, since you are on right now, were you not one of the ones? I think we're going to have to roast you for a bit, because right now, man, those Golden Knights are looking mighty good. And you said they wouldn't even get in and possibly be a playoff team. And with this kind of start, so what is the rule when it comes to Thanksgiving in the States and teams for
that's
the playoffs?
Playoff cutoff line, and it's really tough to make it back from there.
Okay. Zill's changing the topic. She's saying, "Oh, Kraken." Okay, yeah. Let's take a moment. Let's talk about the Seattle Kraken before we do a wrap. What do you think? What do you think?
They're firing on all cylinders. Everything's going well. They're playing very, very well. Grubauer's really turned it around. What can you say? They could make the playoffs this year. You know, they can push for it. Even though I don't know how appealing to Ron Francis, Connor Bedard, or one of those prospects that you mentioned earlier would be. So Berniers, I think you and Jordan mentioned that they would be he would be the Calder nominee, if not winner.
Yeah, I believe both Jordan
and I believe Mike Smith mentioned that as well. But yeah, Seattle's just running.
Good for them, right? I mean, and those fans deserve it. They spent a lot of money to build that franchise, and so it's kind of like you hope that a player falls still really good to them. They're not going to get a Connor Bedard unless they won the lottery, and even we know they're not going to probably make the playoffs. They probably won't even be in contention in the last month. But even so, if they can get a top 10, top 15 pick, they're still looking at a really good player this year. So I just like to remind everybody here today, every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, join us live. So today we're very fortunate to have on with us your very own from the Edmonton region. It was Howie Draper. He has 6 national championships with the women's program at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada. Wonderful interview. It was awesome. Make sure you go back, check the show, as well as follow us. Now, also the other exciting news that we got today was that over at the Sports Empire Network, they have joined with Tiki Live TV channel, which means that you can now begin to follow everything with the Sports Network, which includes us as a partner over on Amazon, Roku TV, and Apple TV. So you're going to have to get it all set up. Hey, Kyle, man, thanks so much. Really appreciate your support. Go Bruins!
Bruins.
Oh my God. Okay, before we end the show, we got to talk about what happened with Boston.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'll let you.
Oh, okay.
Set us up, and I can rant.
Okay. Well, you're going to rant about it.
No, you can rant.
With Mitchell. So they bring in a player. They sign a player that already was rejected. They decide to sign this player as a free agent, bring them into the mold. This player has terrorized and caused issues, you name it, with a gentleman that had a disability when they were younger. There was a lot of bullying. There was no real apology. There was no really anyway, the long story short, I have no idea why Neely got even in the business of this. Yeah. It was absolutely crazy that they actually brought him in. But what I do want to say, and I agree totally here with Kyle with Go Bruins Go. The Bruins players actually said something.
Yes.
And hey, and I'm now going to go ahead and say, even when the situation happened over with Kyle Beach, the players said nothing. Yeah. This case, the players are saying something and putting themselves out there. Maybe it's because the players in Chicago were worried about taking blame. I have no idea. But I want to say heads up and thank you to the Bruins players who are actually making a statement. And to anyone that's saying, well, he deserves a hockey career, it's just like, I'm sorry. He's had so many opportunities as an adult to make things better. There are a million things you could do. And taking advantage and bullying and harassing like he did, it's just not acceptable.
Well, the agent that works for Mitchell Miller came out and said he's been working on these with these organizations to better himself. But really, there was never a formal apology until he got to Arizona and he was going to say he was potentially going to be drafted by them. The other thing is, when Bergeron speaks, that room and that city listens because he's got a lot of weight and value of what he says. I just don't know what the Bruins are doing when you are winning. You have a really good record. I believe it's 9-0-1. Kyle, you can correct me. And then you do this signing, and it's like a black eye on the organization. And he's not even a Bruin like anywhere else. And the honest truth is that you can play hockey all your life. The NHL is a privilege. It's not a right. You can play in the KHL. You can play in Europe. You do not play in the NHL. You have to be exemplary athletes. So I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, which means I think it's ready to give it a wrap, everyone. Again, you can follow us. Hey, oh, by the way, look at this. Zill has Roku TV. Well, hopefully you can catch us on there. Kyle has also corrected you and said 11-2. But hey, man, you were asked to correct him. And we love it when people correct my partner here.
Yes.
He may be the insider, but tonight, Kyle's the insider on the Bruins record.
Kyle, we got to talk. We can switch so I can take a week vacation off.
Sounds wonderful, guys. All right, everyone, make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Share, like, get involved. We love you guys. We love what you do. Thank you again to our partnership with Sports Empire Network. You guys are beautiful. We appreciate for all your sports outside of hockey. Go ahead, because we're the only hockey component, at least at this time, till the competition starts roaring in over at Sports Network. But anyway, at Sports Empire Network, Sports Network. Everyone's going to think I'm saying Sportsnet in Canada. Yeah, definitely give them a follow, man. Whether it's, you talk football, you talk baseball, you talk wrestling, you talk football in the NFL right now. Man, these guys have podcasts coming out the yin yang right now. These guys have some incredible stuff, some great things happening. Check them out over at the Sports Empire Network. Well, Pavel, last thought?
No, it's been a great show. Thank you to Howie again for coming on the show. Evan, as always, it's been a treat hosting the show with you, co-hosting and learning that you know something about hockey.
Sometimes. But in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe, everyone.
Take care. Hey, see you guys next week. I had to catch Pavel off guard.